Thanks for getting in touch. We admire your enthusiasm for this project, but unfortunately, we won't be able to devote time to it. We have a jam-packed slate at the moment and are currently focusing heavily on TV projects. We wish you the best of luck.
Hi Joshua, I write on behalf of my boss in London working on a movie. Unfortunately, he is contracted to Warner Brothers and cannot take on other features. I think you have a good idea there, and I wish you well in the race to get a producer. Kind regards.
Thank you very much for your email. The project sounds interesting, but unfortunately, I am not taking on any more projects at present due to a full slate. I wish you the best of luck with your project and thank you for thinking of me.
Hi Joshua, thanks for being in touch with me and my colleague and executive producer. We've watched your concept trailer and the interview clip. The intentions for Sing, number 7 are fantastic and hugely important, that is undeniable. However, in terms of this being a project that could have a home on our slate, I'm afraid that it's not one we feel we can best champion for you. Our focus these days is largely on TV drama. And with a film slate now
so the road was long and, the times were heavy in the sense that was pretty much our experience when we decided to try to get this film to the next phase on its development. And just a reminder, we're two guys, Pradeep and Joshua. I'm Joshua. Pradeep is my co-producer and star of, aspiring star.
Aspiring, yeah. Lead actor of the film.
Exactly.
I would say aspiring.
Sing number 7. A film that pretty much started its journey several years ago now. We're talking about 7 years ago where we met to try and make this film and turn it into a feature film from here in the East Midlands. And this is effectively our journey of trying to make that project happen. And we thought it was not just a cathartic experience to put this thing on, put this message out there or put this story out there. We just thought it's been such an adventure, and it continues to be so, that it was worth turning it into a podcast. And here we are. So what you just listened to recap, were a series of emails from both independent studios, major studios, pretty much television networks, and a few other places as well, where we effectively approached we effectively approached them to see if they'd be interested in co-producing or effectively funding Sing number 7. And that was just a snippet of the responses that we got back. And trust me, there are several, and those were the good ones. Those were actually the nice.
Those are the nicer ones.
Yeah,
there were some not so nice ones.
Exactly. So if you think about it, these emails were not just with the studios themselves and development producers, and they were with effectively executive producers. They were with studio heads. They were with people who could effectively make this film happen with a conversation, or just by sometimes just forwarding an email or just having a conversation. And we knew that these were the influencers and these were the decision makers that we needed to be talking to in the industry. And this was the point where we had to effectively make a decision, because a lot of the responses we were getting were not positive. Mm-hmm. They, as you've seen from the emails, a lot of them talked about the fact that this film was necessary. It was, it was poignant. It deserved an audience, and it deserved to be made because it was trying to tell a story.
However,
exactly.
That's the word that they like to use. However, and then as soon as you see that word, okay, so I can pretty much ignore what was said beforehand, because now is the real part of the email.
Exactly. It got to a point where we received so many rejection emails that we never even read them anymore. We just scanned for the word "however" or "unfortunately." Those were the two words I usually.
Yeah.
And once you saw those words, once you saw those two words, you can just forget it.
It's done.
Everything that's been said beforehand, all the praise that was heaped on the project, all the praise that was heaped on the endeavor, it was all nonsense.
Ultimately, you're not getting the money.
Exactly.
They're not making it.
It's not going to happen. Ultimately, it's a pass. So, and I'm sure every aspiring, creative or actor or writer or, you get it. It's part of the it's part of the process. It's like threading the eye of a needle with these things. You find yourself trying to convince people of something that you believe so intensely that it should see the light of day, that it should have a message, that it becomes part and parcel of it, and you have to really just adjust, and you have to find a way to roll with the punches and just let it glide off you. But it was a tough position we were in. So that was where we were. That was really where we were at that point. And we had to literally find a place, for us, that we had to bring this project to an individual that could effectively champion this, either on our behalf or with us.
Yeah.
And that was where we knew that we had to just really take a step back and rethink our strategy. So we had two approaches here after, the concept trailer and getting the press. Approach one was, okay, we made a concept trailer. We've got some press. We've got some good energy going, right?
Yeah.
So let's get it out there. Let's approach studios. We got a script. We got a treatment. Let's do it. So that's what we did. That was option one. And option one is, I had a lot of faith in option one, just because of the amount of conversations we were able to have, which was great.
It could have worked. I think option one could have worked, looking at it, and because logically it should have worked. The attention that we got and the points that we got to, especially with Sky and everything like that, we had a lot of momentum.
Yeah.
And you just assumed at some point someone would come along and be like, okay, this looked really good. Let's give this a go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing. What?
Absolutely.
Not a single phone call, not a single email, not even a message. Nothing.
Yeah.
And that was a wake-up call.
Yeah. It's, for me, it's what I really found fascinating about this point in our journey is that we had such amazing buzz, mainstream media buzz. And to get mainstream media for a concept trailer, that's really, really good. We thought that from that initial, or from that, momentum that we had built from the initial concept trailer, we would just, easily transition into taking this forward and having further conversations with people that could effectively turn this into a more substantiated project. But the point is, we got this buzz for the concept trailer, and then basically the world stopped spinning, or better yet, the world kept spinning, just not for us. We were sort of frozen in time. And, because if you think about it, we'd spent the last 2 years, supposedly doing our homework. We secured some social media and mainstream attention.
Yep.
We thought the film industry might share the love, but we were wrong again and again and again.
Yeah.
And again and again. And trust me, every again, you'll see it on screen. We'll put some more of these rejection emails on screen, so you can see how many times we just.
I think a lot of people have also, like you mentioned, been through this. Filmmakers, producers, actors. It's just one of them things. This is the industry.
Yeah.
This is just how it is, and we're just one of those, people or productions that have gone through that same process. But many would say that we've actually made it further.
Yeah.
Than a lot of people have with their, a production, which still haven't made it to this point.
Exactly.
Like, we've been in front of some, I would say, people who really could have made this happen just with one simple phone call, with one decision. This is the thing.
I don't know whether that's ironic. I don't know if it's just the way of the world, man, or the way these things work. Because the project for me was crying out for a hero, someone to just fight in our corner, give us a ray of hope across what seemed like just an endless void of rejection.
Yeah.
And we had to just turn that massive sea of no's into maybe just some dry land of a maybe. And that's it. That's,
just a meeting.
That's exactly a meeting. And in all of that, that basically brings us to a sunny day in central London. We had basically scored a meeting with a producer working on a major series, actually. A major
I know you talk about
a major ish series for, drumroll please, Netflix. He was a Netflix producer. He was producing a series on Netflix. And this is the big time, right? This surely had to be it.
He was in there.
He was in there after months of rejection. And, we finally were about to move the needle because, this was the guy. This was a man that was working in a major series with Netflix.
He saw the email. He wanted to meet us. He told us to come down.
His assistant got in touch with us and everything. And he said, yep, he'd like to meet you. Come down to London. And let's have a conversation. Project sounds fascinating, and he got his his assistant to get us a meeting. So we took a train and we went to Central.
Spent the day in London.
But believe it or not, this episode is not about that, gentlemen. This episode is about another producer we went to meet in Central London. We will get back to this amazing gentleman. We're referring to in question right now, the Netflix producer. But we're actually talking about someone else. And trust me, more than him, more than our initial Central London producer to come.
We just call him the Netflix guy for now.
Let's call him the Netflix guy.
Okay.
And it's a doozy. So let's talk about the actual producer that effectively, we'd like to say, became a champion for this project. And basically, we also went to meet him in London. So I want to take you back to the narrative of emails that we shared with this producer, because just after we started to feel like Plan A was waning, which was going directly to the streamers and going directly to the to the big studios and the major independents that had great relationships with the big studios, we started to feel like that may not be our best route forward. It might be best if we worked with an executive producer that had a substantial amount of experience working on major features, working on TV shows, working effectively within the industry. And this could be an independent executive producer or an associate producer, or someone who had that ability to go into the into the inner circles and have those conversations on our behalf and really give this project a sense of legitimacy and industry legitimacy.
Basically, someone who could actually be listened to. And when they see an email or get a phone call from this particular guy, we can't name him for obvious reasons.
Yes.
But wouldn't be ignored.
Yeah.
Because he's got that experience. He's produced successful films in the past. So something that we could use to our advantage, basically, for this film.
And that was really where we were. We were, in that position because he was an experienced producer and he had that ability to not just give this project, that strong kick in the backside of just giving it that impetus that it needed to keep going. He also had the ability to really just put us on the right track of what we needed to do to actually make this film happen. So it was great to have that conversation. And that was when we started, the email chain really started with him. I emailed him, I think it was 2019.
This is a long time ago.
2019, maybe 20.
It's been years. Yeah.
It's been years. And I want to say 2019. I believe
it was around about that kind of
time. It was 2019 or 2018, 2019, when I first emailed him. And this was us effectively transitioning into option 2. Plan B. And Plan B was to find an individual EP who would perhaps be interested in coming aboard. And I emailed several, including our infamous Netflix guy.
He was one of them.
And this was another producer that said, you know what, the project sounds really...
I think in the end, you must have contacted, well, we as a group at least contacted well over 30, 40, 50 like producers, not just studios. I mean, just
studios, we must have contacted about 20, 25 major studios.
Yeah.
In terms of individual executive producers and major producers, I think we contacted, about 40.
Yeah.
Around 40, 42. And we
got maybe what? 3, 4 responses.
4 responses.
And that's just how it is.
And that's just how it is. This is the industry. And look, it's nothing against these individuals. These are just incredibly busy people who have to pick a project on a whim, on a yes.
And they get these messages probably every day.
And they get hundreds of these messages from screenwriters, from actors, from producers, from people they want to work with. So they're usually pretty busy, and they usually have to make a gut decision whether this project is for them. So we know that they're not just being they're not being obtuse about it. They have to make a snap decision about these things, and that's really the way it is. So we knew we were in rare air when we got one of these people to actually say, you know what, this is interesting. I think this is it's a project that I might be might sound like a great endeavor to get involved with. And that was when we were able to meet this individual. We scheduled a meeting with him in person to meet up and just go have a conversation with him and see if and we'll play a clip of us on the way to that meeting. We got a little bit of a clip there. And as you can see from the clip, what's great about it is that we were very nervous to just go and have this conversation.
I was just happy that we got a meeting with a producer who was like, yeah, this looks good.
We were nervous. I was nervous. I mean, I was thinking, oh God, this could be a make or break situation, because this is an individual that could, just get us on our journey, get the journey started. Because at this point, if you think about it, as much as we've done all this buzz for making a concept trailer, as much as we've been able to stir up a conversation about, the state of racism in football, or the message of what the film was trying to convey, we had not actually been able to make that next concrete step. So this was an individual that could really change that for us. And that was what I just found absolutely fascinating.
It's like, it's one thing getting the media attention and everything, and that actually helped us get this producer on board. But then it's a whole other thing turning that media attention into something in the industry. Because what we learned was, you could have all of that. They may not care.
Exactly.
The industry will look at it and be like, okay, cool. And that's it.
That's the industry for you. It's such a fast-moving place. It's such, unless you're a major celebrity like, Ryan Reynolds or Scarlett Johansson, you're not getting anyone picking a phone and calling you if you're nobody.
You got to do the work. You got
to do the work. You have to do the legwork, and it's a lot of work. And you hear stories about development journeys taking years. We're one of those stories, and we hope.
Rocky took 10 years.
Exactly.
We're almost there.
Exactly.
3 more years, and we're there.
We're almost at Rocky, people. Please, we've had so many Rocky moments. So this is, and I don't mean that like Rocky in the sense like shaky. I mean like the movie. We've had like underdog. We're the ultimate underdog, really.
That's from the beginning.
Exactly. So this is where we're at, and we got to that point, and the meeting took place in this cafe on the outskirts of London. It was I can't even remember why we met at this cafe. I think we met him up at the town center on the outskirts of London, and we just thought, should we just go to a cafe?
I don't think we actually knew where we were going.
No.
We met him first.
And
then we were like,
rather than talking in the street,
shall we just go into this place?
Exactly.
And then it was all right.
We'd be like, instead of just talking in the street, you would just go into this random cafe. And we just went into a random cafe. And that was when we sat down with this producer, and we just talked about the project. And Party, you could talk more about how you were able to just give this producer the elements of the journey that you went through before you even met myself, and why you decided to make this to start this incredible endeavor.
So explaining it to him that wasn't too difficult, because he was already on board in terms of the story itself and the importance of it and everything. For me at that point, it was just making sure that he was aware of what we had done, exactly what the story was about, what we were trying to get out there, and we also wanted to make it clear that it's not like a football film about racism. This is a story where, of course, there is an element of racism in there with him, the lead role being a British Asian, which, of course, for anyone who follows the sport knows that racism is still a very big problem.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and will be for a very long time. So, of course, that's an element of the film.
Yeah.
But we didn't want him to get confused thinking that's all it was.
Yeah.
It's so much more than that.
Absolutely. And he just got it, man. I mean, there's no other word we could say that he understood. You know, like Party just said, of course, racism in football was the crux of us being able to get the press that we were able to get. It was a great foundation for us to be able to have.
I think that was the pull at the time, because that was very
very much on trend right back then. I think there was something going on with what's the name of that Tottenham Hotspur player, Danny Rose?
Was it Danny Rose at the time? There was a few.
Yeah,
I believe Sterling's. There was Sterling.
And a lot of black players, talking about feeling.
There was a number of incidents in a very short space of time against black footballers.
Against black footballers, and in the Champions League and the Premier League. So it was a really good time, and we were able to just get in there with the press.
Yeah.
When that story.
It's worth mentioning that's also how the press works.
Yes.
If something that you're creating is like links to something that they're talking about in the press at the time, that's your moment.
That's
when you want to strike. That's when you want to get in touch with as many of them as you can to say, I know you guys are talking about this. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's the time you can get in. After that, it's not going to happen. It's a very hard time.
It's very hard. And that might be one of the first, that might be an actual tip, because a lot of people might be listening to this, like, are these guys giving advice, or are they just talking and just, just rambling? That's a piece of advice.
Yeah.
Get in on the trend with your story, or write stories that feel on trend, that feel on message, and then use that to maybe get yourself some press and some media. Does it work every time? Probably not, but it gives you that stepping stone to perhaps get your profile.
Get a much better chance when it's a hot topic, and it links with what you're doing, then if you just try to contact them out of the blue when they're not talking.
Because the media is very reactive. They're not, sometimes they are proactive, and they have segment programs where they're like, oh, let's focus on this issue. Let's talk about this. But 9 times out of 10, the media just focuses on what's on trend, what's on message. I mean, of course, there's breaking news and things like that, but 9 times out of 10, they want to talk about the things you're talking about. Everyone's talking about.
Because for them, their business is viewers.
Their business is viewers. Their business is listeners. Their business is attention. And anything that's getting attention, they want to be talking about it.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of filmmakers and a lot of creators out there might be thinking, oh, why? No, I want to make something that's just my art and my process. Hey, look, we're not going to sit here and tell you to stop doing that. We're just telling you right now that with social media and everything that's going on right now, attention is the new crude oil. It is basically the lifeblood of the world right now, attention. And the media on it, you've got whole news networks right now with a TikTok division.
These days, it doesn't even matter how you get the attention. There's people out there doing crazy things on TikTok, and they're getting paid from companies because they get people watching.
Attention. Because we're so saturated. The world is so saturated right now. You can pick up a phone and be entertained for hours without having to watch a single piece of scripted programming. So that's what it is. So if you're a writer, if you're a creator, if you're just trying to get your moment, try and find something that's on trend and tie it in with your artistic endeavor or with your artistic talent. It may just, it may be something for you.
Yeah.
So going back to our producer.
Which one?
Not the Netflix guy.
Oh, okay. We're still on we'll call him the producer.
The producer.
Okay.
The producer we're currently working with, and it's, been an amazing champion for this project. So when Party was able to give him that great walkthrough of the project, we were able to let this individual know that, look, it's not just a racism in football film. It was on trend, but this was a film about love, and heart, and home, and just about a local kid trying to figure out where his life was going.
About friendship.
It was about friendship, dreams. Yeah. If you think about it, for me, the film that really comes to mind when you think about a story like that is Greta Gerwig's Lady Bird. You watch Lady Bird and you realize they're no heroes, they're no villains. This is just an individual she's trying to figure out her life. And in our little way, that we're seeing number 7. Yes, football is a great vehicle for our story, but it was still about this individual.
It's kind of like it starts and you get a glimpse into this guy's life at a very particular moment.
Exactly.
And in this particular moment, this is the journey he's going on. He's at that crossroads. He doesn't know what to do with his life. He's got football that he really likes, but then he's thinking, look, I'm getting older, like my education, get a job. Like a lot of people end up in this situation where they think, shall I keep chasing the dream, or should I just say, you know what, I had my time. Should I just settle down with a job and then just be a bit more responsible?
Exactly.
Everyone, well, not everyone, I would say a lot of people, maybe even the majority of people have a moment like that or similar to that.
Yeah. And that's really what we were trying to convey to the producer. We wanted him to know that this is what we were trying to create. It was still a beautiful, dramatic indie film that we knew that had its moment and had a message to convey. And amazingly, he got it. He understood what we were trying to do. He understood the message we were trying to get out there. And afterwards, we were lucky enough to get a yes from him. He was like, yeah, I'm in. I like this. I want to be involved. I want to be your champion. I want to take this project on for you guys and just get it off the ground. And it was such an amazing moment. And we took a commemorative photo. You know, we'll put it on screen right now. Of course, he's not going to be in the picture.
I was going to say,
we're taking him out of the shot, so you're not going to see him. All you'll probably see is myself, Pardeep, and our two other fellow producers,
Amrik and Charles.
Yeah. So that was a commemorative picture. But if we ever get to a point where, you know, we've been able to get this film out there, we'll do the grand reveal, and I'm sure he'd be happy to.
Yeah, definitely.
He'd be happy to take part.
I think, without him, there's no way we would have made it this far out.
Nope.
Like this, like just him being who he is, a part of the industry. He's been there, he's done it.
Yeah.
Without him, there's no way we'd be, let's say, I don't want to give away too much, but who we're in front of at the moment.
Exactly.
And who is actually looking at the film at this moment in time. That
chance.
Literally change our lives if they come back to us and say yes.
We'd have had no chance to get to where we are now if not this individual. So he was, and he is a he, and that's all we can really give away. He was instrumental in
getting us here,
getting us where we are now. So that was a great meeting, and we took a commemorative picture. We had a cup of coffee. We continued to talk, and and that was it. It was all, and of course we ended up making it official. We signed contracts and everything, and we made it a full-blown partnership.
Yeah.
With this individual.
I think for the people who'll be interested in how did you guys do that, it was simply just, we put the work in, we had a trailer, we got the media attention, we put together this package where it was like, okay, this should be something that catches at least someone's eye. And then it was, from that point, a pure numbers game.
Yeah.
It was find a whole bunch of producers out there that we can contact who look good, and literally just a numbers game. And then one of them came back to us. Yeah. And we were lucky for them to say yes, and that's literally how it was.
It was finding a needle in a haystack, or a needle in a stack of needles.
And it's the same thing with studios, directors, even actors.
We contacted everyone. We just wouldn't stop. We just absolutely contacted everyone, individual producers, individual studios, even like we contacted like documentary networks. Like we just thought, contact everyone. And hopefully we would find someone that this message resonates with strongly enough, they would see why this was such a necessary film to make. And again, it was an indie film. We weren't going to people asking for a massive budget. We weren't going to people asking, we want to make the next, Bad Boys. We weren't asking, we weren't asking people to make, we weren't asking to make a 20 million pound film or a 100 million pound film. We wanted to make an indie story. And we knew that could be cost effective for any potential.
Yeah, this is a fairly small budget film. And for certain studios out there, it's nothing.
It's nothing.
The money that they would have to put up for this to them is nothing.
It's nothing. So we knew that it might resonate with a few people. And it resonated with this, with this executive producer. And he decided to come aboard the project. And that was just great because he put us in a position to know exactly what we needed to do next. And that was package this film for, the BFI, which is the British Film Institute. And basically, the British Film Institute, for anyone watching this that they're not familiar with what they are is they are effectively they're grant organizations sponsored by the National Lottery and the government, if you will, and other donors. They effectively help first-time filmmakers or aspiring.
Yeah, if you're not already in the industry and you want a way in, this is your, I would say for some people, your most realistic way in, short of getting very lucky and getting a deal with the studios straight up.
Exactly.
Which is very rare.
Which is exceedingly rare. So the BFI, British Film Institute, are effectively the last bastion, or the only bastion for aspiring filmmakers trying to garner grant funding to effectively make their make a project. It could be a short film, a feature film, or an animation. We were, of course, going for a feature film. So this individual made it, let us know that if we were going to go in this direction, then we needed to package this film to effectively apply with the BFI. And it was a detailed application process.
Yes, there's a lot of areas that you got to look into. You got to tick a lot of boxes, and the application itself, I think, took hours.
It did. So
I feel like it's very detailed.
It's very detailed. And we'll get to our application with the BFI in another episode. This episode is about champions, about the people that we contacted, the next steps we took before we got to that. And we'll detail, we'll go into detail about the BFI application because it was a very interesting process. So that was what this producer believed that should be our next step: package the film, ready for the BFI, and that was what we subsequently began working on next. So that's and we were so glad he came on board. We're so happy that he gave us that opportunity to just do what we to keep this project going and to get that momentum going. So as promised, let's talk about the other irons we put in the fire, apart from, the producer, because of course we contacted several producers. Of course we did.
Yeah.
And we thought, well, we got to keep our options open. We got to just get out there and get as many people having a lot of conversations as much as possible. And the producer was great.
We're not going to talk about the Netflix guy, aren't we?
Yes. We're going to talk about the Netflix guy.
That producer.
This producer, that producer. So this now leads me to, whilst we had other irons in the fire, another producer that got back in touch was the Netflix producer. And that's all we're going to call him because, again...
Can't give anyone names or anything, of course.
So he had a series going with Netflix at that time, and and he of course had some experience working on some British feature films, some major British feature films that have done pretty well. And he saw an email from myself, and he said, he got his producer to get in touch with me to say, look, this is interesting. This is something that,
Tell them to come down.
Yeah, tell them to come down. So that was what we did.
And we were so excited by this one as well.
God, we were.
Because we thought, who this person was, genuinely, they could have made this happen instantly.
They could have made this happen with an email. They could have said, yo, check these guys out. They've got something good here. Let's see what we can do. I'm not saying like they were like the big cheese, like the big deal, but they were influential in the sense that they were working with the biggest streamer in the world.
And they were big enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. For this project, they were big enough.
And they were working on a major series with Netflix. And it was a series that came out. And basically we went to central London, and his office, I mean, to describe his office as cramped is an understatement. It was like walking into, I don't know, like for me, it felt like walking into a house from the Shire from Lord of the Rings. Like it was really cramped.
I think to describe it best, I'm not a big guy, but in that place, I felt like a big guy.
It was a really tiny office. And I get it. It's London,
That's just how it is.
You got to get what you got to get in London. It was a really cramped office. We got in there.
Then we got some stairs.
We did.
Yeah, we went upstairs. And then the main office, was
just to arrange the timeline for you. At this point, our producer, the producer, had come on board. So he was actually kind enough to actually come to that meeting with us. Remember, he came to that meeting with us. Think about it.
Yeah.
And he was actually someone that, he was so he thought it was an interesting he thought it was a great prospect as well. So he basically came to that meeting with us, which was great. And
I think he knew him as well.
I think he did. So we thought that's great, to have someone of that ilk come with us to the meeting and have that conversation. So we went to his office, very cramped office, and we sat down and we met this man. First met his assistant, who was like, "Great to meet you guys. I'll take you to the conference room. You'll sit down." And he sort of big-timed us. He big-timed us because he had the giant treatment of the series he had working with Netflix on the table. Remember that? And they're like,
as we walked in, he had that already there.
He big-timed us. I like he did, because he had a giant treatment, the look or the show Bible of the show he was working on with Netflix on the table. And I could see on the screen, I think they just had a Teams call with some of the guys at Netflix UK. So he was like, I was like, oh wow, this is huge. This guy is like, he's it.
He's doing it.
He's like, this is big time. He's having a meeting with Netflix. The conversation, I mean, I don't know about you, buddy, but the minute we sat down and we thought, oh, great, conference room, Netflix treatment on the table. They just had a Teams call with Netflix.
This is going to go well.
That's going to go well. This.
He was like a cartoon.
First impression.
This guy was crazy.
He looked, and this might be a bit too PG. This man looked like he was on drugs. He looked like.
Yeah, when I left, I thought he's definitely on
wired. He looked, and maybe I don't know how executive producers, how they live their lives, and I know that I've done producing in my time in the commercial world, but he looked like he was frenzied. He looked
he was crazy.
He looked he was super wired.
The stuff he said didn't make sense. He made us go all the way down there. And told us nothing in the end.
He did. He told us nothing, and his sentences just stopped, went back on his points, and ultimately, he basically told us this. He was like, "Oh, so where's this film set?" We were like, "Oh, it's set in Leicester." We were like, "Okay, so you guys are from Leicester." Well, why don't you guys just make a local film? Why don't you just rent a camcorder?
And told us to get a camcorder.
Yeah, I
those words, a camcorder, and make a local film.
Yeah. He literally said, "Yeah, just get a camcorder and just make a local film like you're a bunch of French students doing media studies A-levels, and just make a local film."
And he also said, I don't have any money. So if you've come here for money, I'm not the guy. It's like, okay, then why did you invite us down
here for your money? We came here to see if we could collaborate with you.
To get the film made. It was like,
you're the executive producer of an independent film.
Yeah.
We're not asking you to give us money. We're asking you, we were looking at a co-pro, if we could co-produce with
to help us, produce the film
and package it for maybe a major streamer like Netflix, like any of the other.
I just found it strange how it was like he asked us to come all the way down there just to tell us to go back to Leicester. And get a camcorder and make a local film. And
he basically told us,
what a waste of a day,
to take our broke asses back home.
For
lack of better words, that's what he told us. And this was not an easy journey. We lived in Leicester, and I know
we'd work
in between,
taking time off and everything.
It
wasn't easy.
We had to get to the middle of London. His office was in the middle of London. We had to literally drop what we were doing, and we have commitments. We have jobs and careers and families, and we had to stop all that and go to London, get in between all of that, meet with our producer, and then go to his offices.
Just for that.
So it was a whole day we dedicated to this. We sat in a room with this man. He basically told us to make a local film, use your phone and your camcorder, just go make a local film and go home.
And don't come here because I'm not going to, there's nothing I can do.
And I thought, this all could have taken place via email. On a phone call.
Or better yet, just don't email back like the others. Many of the others have done. Just don't email.
A lot of people we emailed just didn't email back. Some emailed back saying, "Not for me, thank you." Some emailed
appreciate
back.
that.
I appreciated that because, again, we know that these are guys who are in a very, very fast-moving industry. So we understand.
So the ones who came back to us and said, "I'm sorry, it's not for us. Looks like a good idea, but it's just not for us." Fair enough.
Fair enough. Actually, you could see from the rejection emails, it was all fair game. We were absolutely grateful to even get those responses. And a lot of the responses that I emailed back to these individuals, as much as it was gut-wrenching to get those responses, that were in the negative, we were still grateful for those responses. And I made sure I made that very clear that to those individuals that, look, we know that you guys are in the trenches as an independent film production company.
Yeah.
We know that you have to struggle to get one film made every 5 years or 2-3 years.
Yeah.
We know that you're in line trying to get things made with these major streamers. We know how the industry is. So we were just grateful to get a conversation. But what this man did was invite us to his offices, size us up.
Big time does with his Netflix thing,
Yeah.
with his treatment that he had going on the table, and then told us, get back to Leicester.
And then
Get a camcorder and make a little local film.
it was an experience. It was very, very.
It was a waste of time.
It was not just a waste of time.
And a waste of energy.
It just felt like a lack of courtesy. I know that he didn't know us. I know that we were nobodies in the context of the industry, and we kind of still are. But we were two aspiring filmmakers trying to tell a story, trying to create something. We walked in there with an experienced executive producer. We walked in there just trying to talk to this man about our project. And he basically told us, go home, little boys.
But what I will say to people who will have experiences just like that is, this is a way for, I would say, them to try and crush your spirit.
Yeah.
Don't let that happen. Don't let these kind of people crush your spirit and stop believing in what it is you're trying to do and make it seem like it's not important when it actually is.
Yeah.
And you just got to keep going. You got to let these experiences just be mere highlights, if you want to call them that, in your journey.
Yeah.
And just keep going on, man. Just keep pushing and trying to achieve what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah. Our producer was like, let's go to a coffee shop. Let's have a cup of coffee. And he basically told us, look, let's not do that again. Because the truth is, people like that they're a dime a dozen in this industry. People who will size you up, who will, listen to your story and only look for ways they can either take advantage or look for ways to just make you feel like you should stay in your lane.
Like an outsider.
Which is the outsider's journey.
There you go.
That's a callback right there. So that's what he made us feel like. He made us feel like the outsiders that we were. We know we're outsiders, but he didn't need to do that. He didn't need to invite us to his grand orifice and basically, show us all of that and then say, go home. He didn't need to do that, but he did. And to sort of give you a fast forward to the end of
just after that, to simplify all of that, it was basically saying, look what I have, and you ain't getting none of it.
Exactly. And to put irony to the situation, his Netflix series was an abomination. It was so bad, and it was absolutely hammered by critics. And some people might have said this and try to find it. Good luck to you. We're not giving anything away.
No,
we're not doing that.
No.
But it was bad. It was bad. That's all we'll say. Because,
what was the overall rating?
I don't know, but it was bad. It was really bad. And his Netflix series was, it was just universally, conclusively, collectively classed as terrible. And that was it. And I don't know. I mean, maybe he's gone on to do things since then, and good luck to him. But yeah.
I think he has. Well, people like that who are already that far into the industry,
they always get.
It doesn't matter if they
always get the next game.
Yeah.
Flops are part and parcel of what they do.
If they make one that flop, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
They'll get another one.
Yeah, I'm sure he's gone on to do some cool things after. But let's just say the Netflix series he big timed us with was a flop. It was really a flop. He thought this was an after-school project, and we were trying to tell him that we believe this could be something more. This could be have a broader message.
And he told us stay in your lane. Basically, he told us stay in your lane. So don't let people do that to you.
Yeah,
can't let people do that to you.
Exactly. So we found a champion, and and this individual told us, let's continue on our journey. It's not going to be easy, but we know what the next step is. Package this film for the BFI, and we will roll with. Come what may, whatever that can need for us.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much the next step. So that's why the name of this episode is called Champions, because we were able to just give you two sides of the spectrum. Someone who understood what the story was about and decided to come aboard and champion this project for us, with us, not for us anymore, with us. And then someone who invited us down, had a conversation, and basically told us we should stop. And trust me, he's not the only one in this journey. We're gonna have a lot of conversations. We're gonna get to a lot of a couple episodes where we tell you more about a few people some people that even came on board this project with us, and through our journey decided, you know what, this is never gonna happen, and told us to give up.
Just to add to that, I would say to the people out there who are filmmaking, who do share the same dream as us, you are more likely, definitely, to meet what we refer to as the Netflix guy than the producer who we got in the end. But
You don't have champions and detractors.
Yeah, don't let that guy stop you from ever, meeting the producer, whoever it is that ends up being your version of our producer. Because you're going to meet a lot more of them than you are of them. But you got to keep going, because eventually you will find one. There is someone out there.
Yeah, you will meet a lot of detractors compared to champions. Let's just say that champions for your ideas and your endeavors, your creative projects will be rare. They'd be like diamonds. They will be so rare. 9 times out of 10, you will meet detractors. And they could even be people close to you, people you love, like friends and family telling you to just stop. It's never going to happen, And trust me, it's all about just keep going, continuing to just do what you're doing, and just try and find a champion. And if you can find a champion yourself, because you're an individual. And if you are multifaceted enough, you could be your own champion. And we're not trying to tell you that you need someone to make your dreams happen. Of course, this is an industry that's very collaborative, so you will always need to have a conversation with someone, unless you're a multimillionaire who could just do things yourself.
One thing that I thought would happen.
Yeah.
With the Sky interview and all the press and everything that we got, back then I thought our champion would contact us.
Yes.
But it doesn't work like that. You have to go out there and find them.
You got to be proactive. You got to go out there, take that shot, take that initiative, and go out there and contact people and canvas boats, if you will. You got to go out there and press the flesh. And I don't mean like go out there and get in people's faces. Just contact people. Have a lot of conversations. And
get talking.
A lot of them might go nowhere. A lot of them might go somewhere. And we've had a lot of conversations that went nowhere. These were 2 people that we met, but we had a lot of conversations with both, commercial producers, members of the press, that, some people showed interest, some people backed away, some people, it just sort of died down. But it's all about finding that person who is...
I would ask them, in total, do you have like a rough number of how many people we contacted, whether it was studios, directors, actors, like literally everybody, and then how many of them actually turned into people who came aboard? Just like to give people an idea.
Okay. I could give you a rough estimate. But the closest estimate I can give and say, in terms of how many people we reached out to industry-wise, I'd say close to 150.
I would say about
150 outreach-wise, maybe more, but I'd say 150, 180.
And I think it was about less than 10.
Less than 10
in the end, who were very useful contacts.
And that's like what? Is that on 10% success rate? Maybe less. And it's
less than 10%.
Infinitesimally small, like literally small response or success rate or anything. And that's really how the industry is. It's so fast moving. There's so many moving parts, so many people trying to get ahead, so many people trying to get their stories out there. And that's really where we were. We were trying to just get it made. And so the percentages are not great, but if you're persistent, if you believe in your story, you just got to keep going. And it's not going to happen overnight. Unless you go viral. And even when you go viral, you have a moment, then it's gone. To recap, our story here is we went out there, or this step in the journey is we went out there to find a champion. We were lucky and privileged enough to meet someone who decided to come aboard and help us in the next phase of our journey. And we also met some people that weren't so helpful.
But you got to roll with it. And I think what we're trying to say is... it takes a while to meet that person sometimes. I think it took us a good year to come across this person. Don't be disheartened by how long it takes. Keep going. And don't let those people, like the one that we mentioned, get you down and put you off of what it is you're trying to do.
Exactly. So in the next episode, we're going to be talking about foundations. And this is really about taking you a little bit further into what makes an individual like myself come into the orbit of an individual like Pardeep, And then we're also going to introduce you to our fellow rebels in this little rebel alliance of ours, Amrik and Charles. And we're going to talk to you about the fact that this is not just two guys.
Nope.
There's actually four of us, and plus our producer, 5 of us, trying to make this. And we'll introduce Amrik and Charles in more detail. We'll tell you how our stories merge with theirs, and how we were just able to get this, keep our story going. And we'll also cover a little bit more about what we did next after we met our producer, the producer, what's the next stage of the journey. So that will be the next episode.
Just to clarify, Amrik and Charles were part of this journey from the very early stages. And just like Josh. So when I first finished the initial script, let's just call it was basically the story at that point. Josh came on board as well as Amrik and Charles. It was the four of us before. I think there was maybe a 1 or 2 year gap, and then we got to know our producers. So it takes a long time to get this stuff done, but that was the order of how things went.
Exactly. Just to line up, organize the timeline a bit better. So that's where we're at, and I hope that you guys have a strong, a bit of an understanding of where we are in the story. And it is a little bit of a story where we are building a little bit of a narrative, and we'll give you more details on that in the next.
And any questions at all, I would say drop them in the comments. You can message us, because I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of questions from people out there who are looking to get into the industry, who want to know more about Sing Number 7, where we are and what's going on. So just reach out to us, drop us a comment, let us know what you're thinking, and we'll get back to you.
Exactly. So that's us in a nutshell. Like Pardeep said, give us a shout, and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions. Thanks so much for listening, and this has been The Outsider's Journey, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.
See you next time.